Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we're going to take a look at the astrological energies from March 2nd until the 9th, 2022, as we are now in March and we are stepping into some really beautiful energies as we enter this month. On March 2nd, we have the Pisces New Moon, and we also are seeing Mars and Venus make an exact conjunction to Pluto in Capricorn. These are energies we have been discussing, and in fact, I did a separate podcast episode for you on February 28th around this energy signature of Venus and Mars conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. Very intense, deep reprogramming, really getting into the heart of something, really getting clearer as well and how you're ready to grow and go to that next level in the Capricorn areas of your chart, as well as the relationship energies, which are Mars and Venus's domain, especially when they're traveling together in conjunction. So over this next week, we have that exact conjunction. Then Mars and Venus enter Aquarius together and are conjunct again at 0 degrees of Aquarius, which, as I'm sure you remember, was also where we had Jupiter and Saturn conjunct in the Great Conjunction in late December 2020. So we have some very interesting cycles taking place right now. We also have in Aquarius Mercury conjunct Saturn, and then Mercury is going to move on, of course, and will enter Pisces on March 9th. And then we have yet one more significant conjunction this week with the Sun conjunct Jupiter in Pisces at 14 degrees on March 5th. So a lot of conjunctions right now. That means that the energy is very focused on the Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces areas in your chart. These are the energies that are very active and alive for all of us individually, as well as in the collective. And the other thing that is happening over this next week is that we're going to have openings. There's going to be freeing up of energies that have been particularly tight, rigid, stiff, almost like if you have felt a tightening, maybe it's even felt like a tightening in your chest or your lungs, something feeling that it's been constricted. Part of this Pisces new moon is an opening up and allowing yourself to expand in a very loving, comforting manner. And what I mean by this is that with the sun and moon conjunct Jupiter in Pisces on the new moon, then we have the sun conjunct Jupiter exact a few days later. This is an expansive energy that allows us to open up and let go. Now, what this feels like more specifically is that if you have been feeling a pressure, something has been weighing on you, if there's been a particular fear or doubt, if there's something you've been very, very focused on, almost like you see it as this is the way, this is the choice, this is what is important right now. The universe is saying, open up this energy, soften it, allow it to flow. And if, for example, you're seeing one path in front of you, and maybe that path, that choice, that fear has a lot of expectation in it. Maybe it's not necessarily even a fear. Maybe it's something that you're ready to create. You're ready to do next. You're ready to move the energy forward. The universe is saying, open up the energy so that you're not applying too much pressure, expectation, or energy towards one direction or one pathway. Instead, if you're seeing this path as being straight in front of you, the imagery I'm getting is imagine it opening up into a 360-degree view, where now you can see that the energy can play out in multiple ways. The energy can expand in multiple directions. For all the ways we can be very focused on one thing at times, this energy wants us to open, to soften, to allow, and to partner with spirit. And that is one of the gifts of Pisces season, is that it is about the two fishes, one swimming up, one swimming down. It's about how we find harmony with duality how we interact with the spiritual realms while we're in our physical bodysuits, how we co-create with these other energetics and these other realms in a way that support our human experience and remind us that we're never alone. So this energy opening up, it is blossoming and flowing and releasing. And you might energetically feel this. You could feel this in a particular part of your life or in a particular part of your energy field. Where again, if you were feeling pressure, a tightening, something almost like you didn't know how to move through it, this energy wants us to relax, to see that there are multiple ways things can come together and that we can be very focused at times on a particular direction or outcome and unknowingly shut down other potentials and possibilities. Now, we do have Mercury conjunct Saturn in Aquarius, which is bringing in that very strong mental focus. And that can be showing you a choice, a decision, something that you're really focused on because that's what you want to experience next. Aquarius is about where we're going, how we're learning new things about the world at large. We're understanding that there are more solutions available than we see at first sight. And with this conjunction to Saturn, there's a seriousness. There can be a sense of just give me a minute to think about this. I need time. Saturn always needs time. But part of what we're also getting clear on, I feel that this is an energy of understanding that for everything you want to create and do next, how you're directing your energy or your mental focus, the universe is saying, allow some breathing room, allow space for something else to come in that just might surprise you. And that surprise or unexpected development comes from this new moon energy where the sun and the moon are conjunct Jupiter and sextiling Uranus in Taurus at 11 degrees. And this is where something can be a welcomed development, a welcomed surprise. Something new is able to enter or come in because you've allowed for the opening, because you've allowed the energy to soften and release, and it isn't quite so mental. Meaning there is not an over-reliance on the mind to have all the answers. This is where the strong Pisces energy reminds us that we're not alone. And the more that we can call in and open up these new energies, the easier it's going to flow and the more relaxed you're going to feel as well. It could almost feel like you're intentionally calling in grace. So this opening that I'm feeling is specifically around the Pisces new moon. And then it continues on as the sun is conjunct Jupiter in Pisces at 14 degrees on March 5th. And this is an expansive energy. Jupiter wants us to feel good in whatever we are releasing, in whatever we're forgiving, whether that's in ourselves or in another, or simply in a part of your life that you feel is in transition. This Jupiter in Pisces allows us to work with the transitions, to work with what is complete energetically, because it's like there's something else waiting. And I'm getting that image of literally when one door closes, another one opens. And it feels like the universe is bringing something up. Maybe it comes from the side. Maybe it shows up from your peripheral vision. But it comes in and it's meant to be that next solution, that next step. But I also feel this as a feeling. Now that's because Pisces is, of course, a water sign connected to our intuition, our spiritual growth, our connection to the spirit world and our soul's energy. And it's what we're sensing and feeling, how the energy is speaking to you. The energy is speaking very loudly, and you could feel like, okay, it's all right to allow something to be released. It's okay to feel something and then let it flow away. This is where we're practicing a new way of being in harmony with universal flows, as well as trusting that there is something else coming through. And that's what I'm feeling so strongly, is that if there's something, again, you've been, let's say, really focused on, maybe this is just a fear. Maybe this is something that you're afraid won't happen. And that's what I mean by feeling really tight or pressured, where you've been really fixated on what you want to manifest, something coming together and developing. I feel like if you're able to lean back, to open up and to recognize, okay, this is what the energy has been showing me, but the universe has something else in mind. This is where something else comes through. And again, I'm just feeling this so strongly that it's like there's something right outside that next door, or there's something ready to come in to help you with next steps, but it's about getting out of our own way. Stepping aside, not being so fixated perhaps on what didn't happen or what you want to happen. It has to do with this gentle release of anything that has been too time consuming. Pisces wants us to keep trusting that the universe will always bring in what is best for you and your energy, and that will flow in at this time, perhaps in a way that you weren't expecting or you couldn't see. Overall, this energy feels very supportive. It wants us to keep moving forward. It wants us to trust that the universe might just have something even better up its sleeve. But if your energy is too closed down, if it's shut down, again, that's the pressure I'm talking about. It's also what I mean when I'm talking about a fear, because we can have a fear around something not happening, not coming together, right? If you're waiting on something, like you're waiting for someone to let you know about a detail or a project or something at work, or you're waiting on anything, this is where you can energetically release anything that's been tightening or shrinking your energy. And again, open it up. Just open it up. And I know I'm sounding repetitive here, but this is really how the energy is going to come in and support you going forward. And it's where there's going to be things that show up that perhaps are even better than what you previously expected or thought could happen. But essentially, the energies of this week are not about the mind or the limitations we can have. And sometimes that comes from a feeling of safety, a feeling of investment, a feeling of this is what I've been counting on. But this energy is very expansive. So the more that you can expand, the more that you can expand with this, the more that it's going to flow through and something else comes in. And I'm just feeling that so strongly. Now, we also have this conjunction with Mars and Venus working with Pluto at 27 degrees. And as they do so, they're trining the north node in Taurus, as well as the south node in Scorpio. And this is an energy of that reprogramming that we've been talking about. But also, I'm feeling this working with our feminine energies quite intensely. And it's interesting to note that the strong Pisces, strong Capricorn, strong Taurus energies are all feminine. And here we have this new moon in Pisces connecting with Uranus in Taurus, and Pluto, Mars, Venus conjunction in Capricorn connecting with North Node in Taurus. So both of these significant energies are connecting with Taurus, which is about what you value. And I feel like we are leveling up. There's something within our value systems, in our ability to feel worthy, to feel solid, to feel loved, that is rising up. And that's what the deeper reprogramming is, especially around our feminine energies that are designed to connect, interact, share, love, give love, receive love. What are you creating? What are you experiencing in the physical world that is supporting your energy field? It feels like there's been a lot reworking us here. It feels like we've been reprogramming parts of our energy fields that have worn out, that have served their purpose. They're no longer resonating. And the universe is saying that where this energy is going is into your sense of love and worthiness, and that you could even feel a shift here where you're leveling up, you're requiring more, you're wanting more in these parts of yourself or these parts of your life that are very new and different. I mean, it feels like this is part of this lifetime's experience of creating new levels of worthiness, personal value, and self-love with these new energetic frequencies. And so that could explain why certain energies have left or they haven't connected. This also feels like there's been an in-between space, an in-between where you could feel like you've been in between different parts of your life, where you've left certain things, but the new hasn't fully connected. where you're done with certain parts of your own energy, your own habits, routines, patterns, but you're still getting some strengthening around the new. It could feel like you're in between a part of your life where you understand more of what is done for you, and yet you're not fully seeing what is coming in next. So this in-between energy is very interesting, and it could explain too why you could even feel anticipation or even anxiety or worry, because it's almost like I'm getting the visual of walking across a tightrope between 2 points, like 2 points of land, and it does look like walking a tightrope across a canyon. And it's a bit like just being aware of what has changed for you. And this in-between space is really interesting. And of course, trust how it feels for you. But I feel like part of walking this tightrope is that you're almost there. It's like this is something we've been doing. This is something that's already been unfolding. We've already been experiencing this. And there's new land that we're about to step on that's been coming in. And I'm feeling like this energy is reminding you how far you've come, what you've worked on, what you've healed, and that yes, there are new manifestations that reflect that. There are new energies coming in and new parts of yourself waking up. There's also new parts of your physical environment that could be revealed to you or could be shown to you in a whole new way. So it feels like what we're moving across has been this in between. And part of this week is allowing yourself to continually grow, expand, and open, even if something doesn't feel quite solid yet. Now, we do have strong earth energies with the 3 planets in Capricorn, plus Uranus and the North Node in Taurus. And that is showing us the new land, the new terrain. But as we've been talking about, Mars and Venus conjunct Pluto are about endings and transformations, the evolution, as I've been describing it as going through that Pluto car wash where things are washed away, scrubbed clean, removed, and ultimately transformed. And that's part of what is unfolding over this next week, because then when Mars and Venus enter Aquarius together, at 0 degrees, they are on the same page. And I feel like there's this huge third eye opening. There's something that expands in that third eye chakra when Mars and Venus get to Aquarius. And it's going to be an energy that could explain more about perhaps your own relationship dynamics, things you have experienced throughout multiple lifetimes, multiple patterns, almost like why you've drawn in certain people. Aquarius is about the bigger, higher perspective. Aquarius energy tends to move fast. It's like a lightning strike or breakthroughs, and it shows us something new. This is a power point. Mars and Venus conjunct in Aquarius at 0 degrees, the exact same area of your chart where Saturn and Jupiter were conjunct during the Great Conjunction, is being amplified here. There's something landing. There's something coming through around maybe what it's all been about, what you were understanding or learning through your interactions with other people. Now, I am focusing on this through relationships because it's Mars and Venus traveling together. And you could have new insights, especially in this lifetime, around the people you've called in, your soul contracts with them, what you were moving through, what you were learning, what you were healing, what you were understanding. And this feels like it's big because the 0 degree point is also a new start. It's a new awareness. It's a higher elevation, a new frequency. And there's also a readiness here for change. So I feel like part of what we're crossing and really transcending is that now that you're in a very different place of your own consciousness, there's new people coming in, coming through who offer new opportunities, new soul contracts, new areas of growth and evolution. but there's also this support for doing things differently. And that is part of the understanding of Aquarius, is that there's multiple ways that we can show up and have different experiences. Aquarius allows for all of it. Aquarius allows room for diversity and ultimately wants to be inclusive so that there is space for everyone. So it could be that with this Mars-Venus now entering Aquarius, you start attracting in different kinds of people. People you wouldn't normally have been maybe attracted to or involved with. This can certainly be friendships, allies, colleagues, which are part of the Aquarius domain. Aquarius is about the people we know in the world. And so that can be people you know online, those online connections. It can also be people that you share similar passions with, you have similar interests, and how we create groups around those passions and interests. This is also about getting much clearer in what energies you want to interact with in your life. What kinds of people are really good for you? And then conversely, the types of people that you're just not willing to put energy towards or you don't have much in common anymore. So there is a decisiveness here over this next week. There's something that is deeply shifting within us because we are individually reprogramming ourselves to know ourselves better. And then with Mars and Venus moving into Aquarius, it allows for that authenticity to come through and to connect with people in a way that is based on that vibration of your authenticity. Mars and Venus will travel together in Aquarius until Venus picks up speed and moves away from Mars. Venus is typically the faster moving planet, so she's going to move on. But as they travel together, they're now in new territory because Venus has cleared her shadow that we felt and experienced during her retrograde. Now she's out of Capricorn. She's been in Capricorn since November. Now she's in Aquarius, literally a fresh breath of air. It could feel like there's things that you're starting to catch up on. They're coming together. You're putting some pieces together here around relationships. And I'm going to focus on this because what I feel is that as these planets are moving through some intense energies, there is the theme of endings here. But the endings are also about graduations, what you've learned, what you've decided, what you're done with. And so we're graduating to this next level. And in this next level, there are new kinds of connections, new kinds of people. Again, people that maybe you never would have interacted with before, people you wouldn't have found attractive before. This is where we open up to all the ways we can connect with others. And it feels like there's just less karma involved. That's part of how this energy feels clearer and cleaner, is that we've all done so much work and there's been so much karma that's ended that part of Mars and Venus going through this Pluto car wash, it's removing the karmic debris. It's removing what is over and complete. And it's almost like sending whatever stays with you, whatever is true for you that's rising up, it's going towards that Taurus energy. So there's something here that we're learning to do differently based on a new sense of self-love, self-acceptance, feeling stronger and clearer in what you want. And that is part of the Taurus energy signature, is knowing what you want and how you want to claim it or invest in it, what you want to do to experience it in your physical world where it's a very tangible, very alive experience. So I feel like we're really going through some energy clearings here that are beautifully supported by the divine, that have that Jupiter and Pisces support that makes it easier to transcend and dissolve what is complete. And you could feel this even overnight, where if there's something you want to clear out, it's been weighing on you, it's been heavy, it's been, just thick, kind of like has a thickness or has like that emotional heaviness to it. This energy can clear out overnight. You could feel it shift within 24 hours. It has something very supportive, almost like you're offering it up to the universe. The universe says, sure, no problem. Let me eliminate that from your experience, from your world, from your energy right now. And oh, by the way, here's something else that's even better. So that's part of this changeover. And I think that's a big word here for this week. Energies are changing over, but there's a flow to it. It doesn't feel as sticky, but it feels like it could be intense if you have planets or points in those late degrees of Capricorn, especially. I'm also seeing and feeling some powerful neutrinos coming from the sun. Those are the energies that the sun emits that we feel here on our planet. And these neutrinos and light codes feel very nourishing. It feels very supportive, very refreshing almost. Like it's going to feel easy to do some transition work this week. And I'm feeling it too, going back to these feminine energies. It could be something in your emotional body that you haven't known what to do with. You're like, I'm just sitting with this. I'm just feeling this. I'm moving through this. And again, if you open it up and see that there are multiple ways that the next steps can unfold or show up, there's something that's going to be revealed and lightened. So you might feel emotionally lighter, and that you're then receiving new light codes and neutrinos from the sun, especially when that sun energy is conjunct Jupiter in Pisces on March 5th. That brings in the higher frequencies that we're ready to integrate. The sun is conjunct Jupiter only once a year. And so there's a lot of big energy this week that is really moving us forward and allowing us to feel that it's easier to do so. So look at what you're ready to step towards in your life, as well as what you're ready to let go of, because again, this can happen fast, and it could be something that has more of a flow and an ease than you originally expected. Essentially, March 2nd until March 6th are very big energy days, as that's when we're seeing a lot of things activated that begin with that Pisces new moon, then Mercury conjunct Saturn in Aquarius at 18 degrees, then Mars and Venus conjunct Pluto at 27 degrees, then the Sun conjunct Jupiter in Pisces at 14 degrees, followed by Mars and Venus entering Aquarius together. So these conjunctions, as I mentioned, are bringing your energy to particular parts of your chart to focus on. And these are the energies that are preparing us for more soul expansion in this lifetime. And it feels like we are stepping into some much higher frequencies. March has new energy written all over it because the planets are out of their shadow zone. They're all moving direct. They're working together. There's a lot opening up here, and it feels like what we're really stepping into and grounding into are these new parts of ourselves that are now very real. So even though it can feel like you're in that in-between space, walking a tightrope, and maybe you don't quite feel like you fully landed, I'm seeing that a lot of our energy is already in the new experiences. It's just taking longer for the physical body or the physical reality to be there. It's almost like the new energies are already anchored in, settled, firm, clear. And that's what we're walking towards on this tightrope. By the way, when I was saying the tightrope, I feel too like there's a freedom on the tightrope. It's not meant to be scary. It's not meant to be something where you focus on a fear of heights or falling. It's more about taking each step as you go, pacing yourself, steadying yourself, feeling more solid, clear, and strong. And that's the focus point as this new energy becomes a reality. I'm also feeling the energies are much more balanced. So we have a heavy focus on feminine energies at this time. That will shift when Mars and Venus go into Aquarius, which is a masculine energy. But it feels like we've really been understanding more of the feminine energies that we embody and carry, and that it's safe to have those parts of ourselves be acknowledged and felt at this time. So what else I was seeing before I did this podcast, it was very interesting. I was seeing a lineup of very masculine energies, and it felt like men, but it could certainly be women it isn't so much about the gender or sex, it's about the energy. But I felt this very strong masculine energy, and it was like a bunch of people all lined up, but there was a heaviness. And there was this energy of a burden, almost like this wounded warrior energy, almost like things have been so heavy and so tough in parts of the 3D experience. And it's interesting because this timeline feels like it stretches back a number of years. And it feels like the masculine energies within us have really been through it. There's things that you maybe were wanting in your life, and maybe you've been through the ringer with some things that have been really intense, really tough. And it's felt like maybe your physical reality took a hit of some kind. And that can be in so many different experiences. I'm feeling like this masculine energy was depleted and really worn out from being in the world, but not being balanced in the world. And part of our ongoing integration is how we allow ourselves to move and experience what it means to be both in our feminine and our masculine energies. Although most people identify with one more so than the other, but there is a new balance coming in, a new energetic support for what you've been through. Again, I'm thinking the past 5 years, maybe it's 10 years, where things just felt like they kept coming at you. There wasn't consistency, or there wasn't focus, or there was something that was just like this ongoing fight or heaviness. Of course, trust whatever this feels like for you. It was almost like the ways that we had previously moved through the world were no longer working, or they were falling apart. There were things that we couldn't take with us, or we had to let go of. We had to release our grasp on things. This also applies to your self-identity, the parts of yourself that have deeply changed over the past number of years. And I feel like what we've been essentially rebalancing is looking at where we have relied too much on our masculine energies to exist, to be seen, to make it through. Now we're calling in and working with more of these feminine energies, which has been ongoing, by the way. But this energy feels stronger now, where it's bringing us into more balance with ourselves and allowing that to be okay, allowing that to be a new part of your self-identity, to allow yourself to understand when it's okay to take a break. You don't have to work all the time, or when you're trying to create something, or you're really heavily focused on a direction. This is where we give ourselves that downtime to step back or step away and allow the universe to show up to support you. And that's not always easy at times, but I feel like this is where the energy of feminine support and co-creation is very strong. So there's something about this balance that's happening, which is in alignment with Mars and Venus traveling together, but it's also something that we're further practicing, where you're really giving yourself what you need without allowing the mind or the ego to override it. It's sort of like there can be times when we think we have to keep going, we've got to push harder, do more. Well, this is a time of saying, you know what? I can have a day off. You know what? I don't have to figure this out right now or today. It's okay to let this sit and come back to it tomorrow, or come back to it next Tuesday. There's something here where we're learning how to take care of our energy fields in a new way without that hyper productivity or that hyper focus on I have to do it all. I've got to make this happen. I've got to get this done, because that doesn't work like it used to. Almost like we know sooner when we're out of balance, or when we're pushing too hard, or forcing something, or doing too much. Your body consciousness is speaking to you, or your intuitive self is speaking to you. There's something here where now you're more in tune with your own energy and your own cycles, where you're aware of, okay, you know what? I'm going to step back from this, and I'm going to trust that it's okay to take a break, or trust that this is a good time to go for a walk and think things through and not keep working away. So we have certainly been practicing this, but I feel like it's much stronger, that we have more of a divine knowingness around our own energies, and that it's okay to just let things be and to allow yourself to feel supported. And that could be something that might be new for you in this lifetime, depending, of course, on your own chart, your own life circumstances, all of that. But you might, for the first time, start to feel supported in new ways that you haven't experienced before or you haven't allowed before. And part of that support is certainly the energetics of this time, but also a deeper connection to your spiritual path, your intuition, to your guides, angels, beings of light, cosmic teams, whatever you interact with, feeling their energy more fully, feeling their presence. And that's part of Pisces season. And I feel like that's going to be something that we continue to feel as Jupiter in Pisces will make the conjunction to Neptune in Pisces in April, where we're really opening up and seeing more of what we couldn't see before. And that's part of this veil that still exists, but it's very thin between timelines. And the veil is very thin, so you can see what's happening in the matrix and in the 3D. That doesn't mean it's where your energy goes. That doesn't mean it's what you're focused on or involved in, but you can see it. And at the same time, you're seeing the other side of the veil where there are these new energies, these new frequencies, a lot more happening that is resonating with you. And it's like that's part of it feels like a spiritual invitation. Feels like an invitation to come this way, travel this way, head in this direction. Almost like these energies are opening up to show you more of what's possible in your life now. And I'm getting this image of standing in an elevator and you're facing the elevator doors that you walked into. And then you get to the next floor and it's the doors behind you that open. It's not the doors in front of you, it's the doors behind you. And you're like, oh, I didn't realize there was doors behind me. So you turn around and go out through those doors behind you. And that's connecting you with this whole new world, this new chapter, these new energies that you weren't aware of simply because you didn't have access to that level yet, that level within your own energy or that level within your own consciousness. So it's sort of like the doors behind you open, perhaps catch you off guard. You weren't expecting that. You were thinking the doors in front of you were the way to go. But this feels like part of how we have changed timelines, changed trajectories, and changed our focus of what we're doing and wanting to create on this planet. It also feels very lively. It feels like there's a lot of energy, new colors, new potentials, this new life force coming through. And that is something that March and April are offering us. New ways of experiencing our lives, what we're ready for next, truly the next chapter, and what has been calling to you. Perhaps through your intuition, your dream time messages, things that you've been thinking about or sitting with and pondering. There feels like there's going to be openings. And I realize I've said that word a million times in this podcast, but I guess that would be the theme here for this week. And as we move into March is stay open, stay aware of where you're being guided to take some new step. Now it's interesting because I'm feeling that some people have resistance. And I'm getting the image of a toddler. Have you ever tried to get a toddler to move forward and then they take one step and pout and say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going that way. And so there can be this resistance, like this back and forth, because maybe you're not ready. You need more time. This is where each of us are on our own timelines and our own experiences. But there's something here that's much bigger than just this moment. You know, sometimes you step into a new place and you don't want to go any further because you're checking out the surroundings. You're looking at things. And this could even stem from wanting to feel safe here. So you're perhaps even on guard of like, okay, is this safe? Is this good? What's going to happen? And if you're energetically sensitive, if you are a highly sensitive person or an empath, then you could have developed over your life the ability to sense danger even when there is none, right? You can be like on hyper alert. What's the threat here? What's going to hurt me? Almost like this has been the programming of how you've experienced your life or your environments. I feel like this is what's being lifted. If you have felt you've been on hyper awareness or just wanting to make sure you're safe, I feel like you're going to get some of those messages here. I feel like you're going to see that it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to let down your guard when you feel ready to do so. It's okay to open up and flow and allow these energies to blossom. So everyone has their own experience, of course, with these new energies, but part of what we're understanding is that we're ready for this. We're ready for the new life starts, the new directions, the new chapters. We're ready. And part of March is the fact that these new beginnings are happening. The new energies are here. The next steps are showing up, new opportunities, new choices, new potentials, new people. There's new written all over this. And so how do you interact with the new might be something to be aware of in yourself. Where again, if you just need time to process it or you're resisting it, that is good to know, because there's some people who are very much about the green lights, like I'm ready, let's go, let's do this. And others can be a yellow light or a red light. And there's no judgment. That's just how you move through energies. But that's part of what March is about. How do you move forward in your life? How are you working with the next steps? Knowing that you're not alone. You're supported by spirit, you're supported by your higher self, and you're also supported by your future self that is ready for this as well. So we have some very exciting energies here as March gets underway, and it might even be helpful to see yourself fully landing in that new terrain where you could feel like I'm done crossing that tightrope. I've now fully landed in these new energies. This is where I'm at and I'm ready. And again, it's the Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces areas of your chart that are experiencing these energies the most. And this is where the new is showing up. So if you can identify those houses where you have the late degrees of Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, those would be the areas that are showing you more of your next step, where you're ready to go next, the new opportunities that are opening up and ready. So it just feels like really beautiful energy, and it's important to know that you're right on time. Wherever you're at, whatever you're moving through, it's right on time. And the more that you can strengthen your connection to spirit, the more you're going to feel that energy coming in and coming through. And again, it could be really helpful to work with this before you go to sleep and see what happens the next morning. See what has shifted for you, what's been removed, what's cleared out, and where you're feeling that very expansive energy continue to blossom. Now, I am feeling it strongly in the heart chakra, but it could be anywhere in your energy field. So always trust what is right for you. And as I mentioned, I also feel that there's going to be strong activations with that third eye chakra as Mars and Venus move into Aquarius, and you see something differently. You have a higher knowingness or a higher awareness about what has been showing up for you in this lifetime, what you're ready to do differently, what you've learned, all that good stuff. So lots of energy going on this week. Be sure and take care of yourself, ground yourself, do the regular things, drinking lots of water, getting exercise, eating the right food, because our physical symptoms are very real, meaning our bodies feel these energies and require ongoing care and support while we're working with some of these bigger cycles. If you want to learn more about the energies of March and how it's working with your own natal chart, be sure and check out my March 2022 Soul Growth Astrology program. Use coupon code Pisces to get it all for $11. And it is 4 webinars that show you the main energies of March. And then you're encouraged to look at your own natal chart and to see what is showing up for you there. And we also have on sale again the 2022 Soul Growth Astrology program. That's the full year's main astrology, including the eclipses. And the eclipses start in late April and happen again in May and then 6 months later. So be sure and check out that program with coupon code READY, and you get it for $28. And that's designed to show you the big energy of this year and what is working with you specifically. So I designed these programs to help you know your astrology chart more and apply this information to your life, to your world, and to what you're experiencing right now. I hope that March begins in a beautiful, flowing way for you. I hope you're feeling more trust in yourself and in your energy. I hope you're able to really acknowledge how far you've come and everything that you have significantly changed for yourself, as well as really believe that things are going to pay off because of those changes. The ways that you have really focused on your own evolution and expanding your own consciousness, all of that's rewarded. The universe sees it. Spirit knows it. There's things that show up that validate it. And I hope that March begins in a beautiful way for you, as these powerful energies certainly usher us in to a new chapter. As always, thank you for joining me. You can find out more about me over at mollymccord.online. That's where I have all of my astrology programs, as well as my online business development courses and videos to help any of you who are building up your own business online. I'll be back here every Monday and Wednesday for a new podcast episode. In the meantime, please check out my YouTube channel where I release videos for you regularly about various astrology topics and ways to know your energy more. Thank you so much for joining me. Wishing you a beautiful start to March, and I'll see you back here really soon.